So welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to lecture number 9 from Science and Technology in this lecture series called Prelims Powerplay 2026. In this lecture series, we revise all current affairs for prelims examination this time. All current affairs, but not just current affairs. Along with those current affairs, we will cover the associated static topics as well, because we all know that static topics which have some connection with current affairs have a higher chance of featuring in your prelims examination. Therefore, this lecture series will help you revise your static as well as current affairs portion. And for this, you just have to spend 1 hour of your day. If you begin with this lecture series now, well, you just have to spend 1 hour every day. That's it, just 1 hour, and everything would get revised. No need to wait for revision for the month of February, March, April. No need to wait that long. Begin your revision now, because if you'll begin now, you just have to spend 1 hour of your day. Okay. Now, the thing is that we are continuing with this lecture series, and in this lecture series, we are currently in the phase of science and technology. And within science and technology, we are currently talking about health-related aspects, right? Now, today's lecture is also going to focus on health portion of your science and technology syllabus. And today, we are going to talk about non-communicable diseases. Now, this is relevant and this is important because in this year, recently, Global Burden of Diseases report was published, and it said that in India, non-communicable diseases have a higher burden than communicable diseases. Now, for those of you who are new to this topic and don't know the difference between communicable and non-communicable diseases, well, let me just in brief explain the difference. Okay, communicable diseases are those diseases which are caused by germs, bacteria, fungi, viruses, right? And they are communicable. They spread from one person to another, right? These are communicable, infectious diseases. Whereas non-communicable diseases are those diseases which are mostly because of lifestyle or genetic factors. For example, heart attack, kidney failure, liver failure, okay, high BP, diabetes. These are all diseases that do not transmit from one person to another. These are not infectious diseases. Of course, if you have high BP and you basically shake hands with another person, that person won't get high BP. You know this. They are not communicable. So they are categorized as non-communicable diseases. Now, for such a long time in India, the burden of communicable diseases was higher than non-communicable diseases. Well, because, 10, 20 years back, India was not that clean, sanitized, hygienic. And in these environments, viruses, bacteria, they flourish. So because of poor hygiene, sanitation conditions, communicable disease burden was very high. But now things are changing. Most of the population is living in urban areas, which also have poor hygienic conditions. But nowadays it is witnessed that non-communicable diseases, heart diseases, diabetes, cancer, all these diseases have become more prominent than communicable diseases. For infections, we now have good healthcare facilities. Earlier we did not. That is why many people died because of these communicable diseases. But now, healthcare facilities are there, so infections are controlled. But the burden of non-communicable diseases has risen dramatically. Now, first we'll talk about this report, Global Burden of Diseases, right? What does it say about India? Then what are the reasons behind this rise of non-communicable disease burden in India? Why have non-communicable diseases beaten communicable diseases? What are the factors behind this? And then we'll talk about the steps taken by the government to solve this problem. Because if government doesn't solve this problem, then it has a huge impact. Huge economic, social, and many types of losses are there in store for India in future. Okay, so we will talk about reasons, impact, and government steps, and the way forward as well. Okay, so this lecture is loaded. Pay close attention, give me your 100% because there is a high chance that even in prelims, for mains, sure shot, there will be a question on non-communicable diseases. But even for prelims, there can be an MCQ. So pay close attention, give me your 100%. Okay, and then let's begin. So Science and Technology lecture number 9, non-communicable diseases. These are for understanding and for our better communication. Let's just call them NCDs. Because globally also, this short form is quite prevalent. Now, to understand what are non-communicable diseases, you have to compare them with communicable diseases. So pay close attention on this table. Okay, this table is also shared in your notes. Pay close attention, okay, because through this comparison you will understand non-communicable diseases in a better way. Okay, so communicable diseases, transmission via air, water, vectors, mosquitoes. No transmission is possible. Causes, bacteria, viruses, fungi for communicable. For non-communicable, maybe it is genetic. You are born with this disease. Okay, so there are many genetic diseases. Then lifestyle choices, poor environment, air pollution, sound pollution, noise pollution, basically, which causes high BP. So this is there. Then onset and duration. Acute. The disease starts very quickly in case of communicable. As soon as the bacteria contacts your body, disease starts. Well, in case of non-communicable diseases, it is more chronic. The onset is delayed. You will start with poor lifestyle choices, bad diet, lack of exercise, and the result would come in 5, 10, 15 years. So it is more chronic and long lasting. Examples are there: diabetes, cancer, heart disease for non-communicable, tuberculosis, influenza, and all that. Okay, then there are prevention, treatment, strategies. Yes, so take a look at this table. Do remember this table by heart. It is given in your notes, so memorize it. Memorization of notes is important. All right. Now let's talk about why non-communicable diseases were in the news, why they have dominated the news, especially in Indian context. Okay, so the reason why they were in the news is because, well, a report called Global Burden of Diseases, well, it has said that India's disease burden has been shifted to NCDs. Now, NCDs have more disease burden than, well, communicable diseases. Okay, and how do we measure this burden? How do we measure the burden? According to the report, NCDs remain the largest contributor to global disease burden, accounting for 1.8 billion global dailies. Now, what is DAILY? Disability adjusted life years. Now, what is disability? This concept is very important because an MCQ can be asked from this term only, that is dailies. Okay, how do you measure the burden of NCDs? You measure the burden. This is the measuring tool. You measure the burden of NCDs through DALYS. Now, what is disability adjusted life years? Okay, so disability adjusted life year is a measure of overall disease burden expressed as the cumulative number of years lost due to ill health, disability, or early death. Okay, how do you measure the impact of NCDs? Well, if NCDs are there, okay, if you're suffering from an NCD, you will die an early death. So this is the years lost, years of life lost. So let's suppose this is you lost 5 years because of NCD, which led to premature death. Simple. So let's suppose you lost 5 years because of that. And before the death, well, 4 years you lived with disability. Okay, you were not living a proper life because your health was not doing that great. Yes, so in case of diseases, you were hospitalized, bedridden, and many other factors were there. You couldn't walk properly, many other things. So you lived a life with disability. Let's suppose that was 4 years. So years of life lost, that is 5 years of life with disability, YLD. You add the two. Total is 9 years. So 9 years would be the Delhi. Now this Delhi is for one person. Okay. Similarly, for every other person, you will calculate this DALY. Okay. And for every person who has lost some years of life because of non-communicable diseases, you add everything. You add everyone's Delhi. And then you get this number, 1.80 billion. Okay, 1.80 billion to be exact. So this is what daily is. And please remember this because this is the measuring tool to measure the impact of NCDs. All right. Now, NCDs accounted for nearly 2/3 of global dailies. So this is the global context. As far as the entire world is concerned, 2/3, which means 66% of the burden of diseases is non-communicable. Only 1/3 is communicable. And in India also, non-communicable diseases burden has increased. It's more than communicable diseases. Okay. While infectious diseases have declined due to better healthcare access, immunization, okay, better healthcare access is there, then vaccines have become more prevalent. So you are immune. And sanitation conditions have also improved, especially post Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, things have improved. So Communicable disease burden has been controlled, but this is rising, non-communicable disease burden, and this is rising fast. Now, one more thing, one more concept from which an MCQ can be asked. Okay, basically, non-communicable diseases are divided into hierarchies. Okay, hierarchical organization is there. Now, what is hierarchical organization? On top is all non-communicable diseases. Okay, the non-communicable diseases are divided into various categories. For example, cardiovascular. Okay, then cancers, different type of cancers, then different type of kidney, then different types of respiratory diseases, right? So overall, the macro categories NCDs. NCDs are divided into categories: cardiovascular diseases, cancers, kidney diseases, respiratory diseases, and many. Then each category is divided into many specific diseases like high BP, stroke, okay, high BP, stroke, heart attack. Similarly, there are different categories of cancers: liver cancer, kidney cancer, many cancers, blood cancer. And similarly, there are a variety of diseases, right? Kidney diseases, respiratory diseases. Now remember this, because this terminology can be thrown around in your prelims paper and it might confuse you. So this is known as level 1. This is known as level 2. And the specific diseases are called level 3. So if in your question paper there is this thing written called level 3 NCDs, so don't get confused. Basically, they are talking about specific diseases. You understand? So remember this hierarchical organization of non-communicable disease. Level 1, level 2, level 3. That's about it. Okay? Remember this. Now, this global burden of diseases report also gave out or also communicated with us certain other facts about India. Okay? So what were those other facts which you have to remember? First of all, it said something about leading non-communicable diseases in India. So the leading level 3 NCDs globally were ischemic heart disease, basically heart diseases, stroke, diabetes. In fact, in case of India, cardiovascular diseases had the highest burden, followed by cancer. Okay, then followed by respiratory diseases. And why are Indians having respiratory diseases? Well, we all know the usual culprit, air pollution. Because of air pollution, respiratory ailments have also increased. And well, then there is diabetes. So in India also, the biggest burden is of cardiovascular, then cancer, respiratory, then diabetes. Okay, which is the fastest growing NCD in India? The largest increases in age standardized rates since 2010 occurred for anxiety disorders. So non-communicable diseases are rising because of poor mental health as well. And now research has communicated or research has revealed that mental health is very important for your physical health. Your physical health depends on mental health. Because if you're taking too much stress, if you have too much anxiety, if you do not sleep adequately, you are bound to have cardiovascular diseases. So mental health, anxiety disorders, depressive disorders, and diabetes, they are the biggest culprits and they are rising fast. Their burden is increasing very quickly. So these are the new superstars of non-communicable disease in the coming future. So we have to be careful about them. Okay, so these are some of the other facts about this report which you need to remember. All right, now let's talk about India only, specific to India. So non-communicable disease burden is more than communicable disease burden in India. Now, what are the factors behind this? Because a few years back, communicable diseases were more dominant. So what are the reasons behind this increase of non-communicable disease burden? Okay, let's talk about the causes. So causes in India. First of all, number one cause is demographic transition. Now, what do you mean by demographic transition? Population transition. The population is changing. Okay. Earlier, majority of Indians, while maybe still also, but a significant chunk of Indians lived in rural India. Well, rural India had this one quality. Yes, it lacked many services, many problems were there in rural India, but it had one quality. Number one, diet was okay. And number two, physical activity. Exercise was part of your life. Even if you are not going to the gym, okay, your body was moving continuously and that kept you healthy. But now most Indians are in urban spaces. Okay, or a significant chunk of Indians are in urban spaces. And because of this urban transition, urban life lacks mobility. You have cabs to move you around, you don't walk that much, you are trapped inside your own home. Okay, and now with the onset of Netflix and your phones, well, most of the people pass their time just looking at reels. Okay, they sit at one corner of their house only, where the internet connection is the strongest. So because of this, the population has shifted, and this has led to increased non-communicable disease burden. There is another change in your population which is contributing to higher non-communicable disease burden. A few years back, well, India's population was relatively young. Majority of Indians were young in their youth. They are still in their youth. Even today, majority of Indians are in their youth. But aging has begun, or the number of aged people in your population, their proportion is increasing. And with aging comes various degenerative diseases. Okay, age does take a toll on your body. So because a significant number of people are now above 60 in India, they will have diseases and non-communicable diseases. Mostly aged people mostly have non-communicable diseases. That is why you are seeing this rise in non-communicable diseases. Okay, because your population has changed, its age has increased, plus most of you are now living in urban areas. Okay, then cause number 2, unhealthy lifestyle. Okay, which is more found in urban areas, though now even rural kids prefer their phones over playing outside. So things are changing in rural India as well. And what is changing? Unhealthy lifestyle. Number 1 is poor diet. You are now moving towards processed foods, which are highly, I mean, dense calorie wise. Okay, high sugars, processed sugars, palm oil, all these things. So diet is poor. Then exercise. Okay, and then, well, drinking and smoking. These are some of the things which have become popular culture wise. Most movies show heroes or the protagonists to smoke, they drink. So it has become culturally more acceptable, drinking and smoking. So this is causing some changes. Okay, unhealthy lifestyle. Then there is environmental risk factors. Of course, air pollution. We are hearing everyday news about Delhi, but it's not just Delhi. Many cities of North India are suffering from poor air quality, and it is shortening your lifespan and causing many respiratory diseases. So this is there. Plus, if you think that you're living in these highly polluted cities, then staying in your own home is the solution. Well, that's not true, because there is a thing called indoor air pollution as well. Your home is more polluted than outside. Fresh air, even if fresh air has so much pollutants, indoor air pollution is a big thing. So, well, things are problematic. Then physiological factors. Because of this lifestyle problems, most people are obese. Obesity is a problem. We have discussed about obesity in the previous lecture when we talked about semaglutide. So yeah, obesity is a problem. And because of obesity, cardiovascular diseases happen. Okay, diabetes happen. Okay, diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, many things are there. So the cause of diabetes is obesity, the cause of cardiovascular disease is obesity, one of the causes. So because people's health is changing. Then mental health. Rural lifestyle was, you must have heard about this, that in rural areas people still go to bed at 9 or 10 p.m. and wake up at 5 a.m. Their sleep is all right, stress level is low, stress level is very high in urban areas. Okay, then there are various issues. Mental health, research reveals that mental health is the biggest contributor to poor heart health as well as diabetes also. Yes, lack of sleep, mental health, anxiety causes heart diseases, it causes various other diseases. Okay, diabetes also. So this is one contributing factor. And then there are socio-economic factors. Now, how is socio-economy attached to this? Well, the thing is, and you must have noticed this, rich people have become more conscious of, well, non-communicable diseases. Many rich people who can afford good air purifiers have put these air purifiers, high quality air purifiers in their homes. They are focusing more on organic diet. Yes, rich people, because organic food is expensive. They are joining health programs, they can afford semaglutide, they can afford all these things which are expensive but promote your health. Okay, but poor people cannot afford organic food. They will eat white bread only. This is just one example. They can't afford air purifiers, so they will breathe the same toxic air in Delhi. Okay, so the thing is that your economic position will now decide your health position, because you cannot afford these therapies, this exercise therapy, this organic diet therapy, plus actual therapy, the psychological therapy. This is also, I mean, only rich people can afford it, because psychologists are expensive. So mental health wise also, right? So there is socio-economic angle to this also. Make sense, right? So these are some of the causes. By the way, I've just written a word. These causes are explained in detail in your notes. So notes are extremely important. That's the bottom line. All right. Now, why is non-communicable disease burden such a problem? What impact does it have on India? So the impact of non-communicable disease, it is dangerous. This rising burden of non-communicable disease is dangerous. How? Number one, premature deaths, mortality. Non-communicable diseases account for 63 to 65% of all deaths in India. All deaths in India, more than 60% are because of non-communicable diseases, not road accidents or terrorist attack. No, disease. Non-communicable disease is the biggest terrorist in India, kills around 65% of the people. Plus, NCDs are the leading cause of premature mortality, people dying between this age group, 30 to 70. Okay, out of nowhere, a young person got heart attack and died. You must have heard about this news, or you must have heard news like this. Well, this is the thing. Then morbidity and disability. Morbidity, that means associated problems. So if you have diabetes, well, you would have associated problems. You would get tired very quickly. There would be fatigue, right? So NCDs cause long-term illness, disability, dependence affecting quality of life. Then there is economic impact as well. As per World Economic Forum, India may lose $4.58 trillion. Our GDP is $4 trillion. Okay, we will lose $4.58 trillion by 2030 because of NCDs and mental health conditions. How? How will we lose money because of NCDs? First of all, it will put a burden on your health infrastructure. So government would have to spend a lot of money on upgrading health infrastructure. That money could have been spent on building or for development, building roads, bridges and all. Now, most of government's budget will go towards health infrastructure. So this is money lost. Then if people will have morbidities, people won't be of good health, then their labor productivity would also decline. They would take more holidays. They would not work with full productivity in their company. So that company is going to lose out on money. So all these things would contribute to economic losses as well. And India wants to become Vikasit Bharat by 2047. How can we become Vikasit Bharat if our people are suffering from these problems, right? And the health infrastructure point, which I just communicated. Most money would go towards health infrastructure, medicines, chronic care, super specialty hospitals. That is money being diverted, which could have been used to other areas to uplift poor people. You understand? If we take care of our health, if we walk frequently, exercise frequently, take good diet, there is no need for such, high quantity of hospitals. Make sense? So this is the impact, and many other small impacts given in your notes. All right. Now, to stop this problem, government must have taken some steps, because government also realizes that it has a very bad impact on India, right? And we will lose economically because of this. So some of the government steps, and what other things government can do. Okay, way forward. This is given in your notes in detail. So certain government steps taken so far, and what more can the government do way forward. It is given in your notes, so do go through that. By the way, let me give you a brief overview of some of the government steps. Okay, so government steps. So there is this national program on prevention and control of non-communicable diseases. Then another national program on prevention and control of C stands for cancer, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and stroke. Okay, so these national programs have been launched. Then community screening. Government doctors are going door to door in rural areas to screen people for diabetes, pre-heart problems. So this has been done so that government gets an idea of how many people are suffering from this. Then health infrastructure is being upgraded. You all know about Ayushman Bharat. Okay. Then Ayushman Bharat, in Ayushman Bharat, health and wellness centers have been opened. All of this is happening. Then government is promoting good lifestyle. Fit India program, okay, Hello India program. So many programs that promote exercise, diet, good diet. There was in 2023, I guess, it was National Year for Millets. Millets have low glycemic index. It's better than rice and wheat. So dietary promotion, exercise promotion. Then government is taxing harmful food products like Coca-Cola or sugary drinks, alcohol, high tax on them, which is known as sin tax, because these goods which impact your health are known as sin goods. So when government is taxing them hard, this is known as sin tax. And then National Tobacco Control Program, because tobacco causes cancer, causes a lot of respiratory ailments, many other things, right? So these are some of the government steps, and what is the way forward is given in your notes, right? And that would be all. With that, we conclude today's session. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. And I'm sure it has added value to your preparation. I'm sure about it. You just have to do these 4 things. Join Prelims Powerplay now, because if you delay till February or March, well, it will be too late. So join now. Watch the lecture on time. Don't keep lectures pending. Memorize the lecture from the notes and the extra information given in the notes. Then ask your doubts, because we have enrolled you in our WhatsApp groups. It is for this purpose only, so that you can ask your doubts 24/7. And be regular with the test, because along with this lecture series, you are getting a test series as well. Be regular with those tests. So follow these 4 golden steps. And with that out of the way, I shall take your leave, with the promise of seeing you again with another topic in this lecture series called Prelims Powerplay. Thank you, everyone.